The 15-year mortgage and why it's the best thing since sliced bread. Good afternoon, fellow Toastmasters. And as you all know, in my online sphere, I'm known as Matt the Mortgage Guy. And I love all things mortgage, especially the people. But, you know, I've always been a math nerd and a math junkie. So it comes naturally to me to crunch numbers and analyze things from a pure math standpoint. So I'm going to talk to you today about the 15-year mortgage, why I think it's such a great product, who it's for, who it's not for, because even though something might be a great product and it might be great, you know, in terms of math and how the numbers pencil, doesn't mean it's for everybody. So with that being said, I'll dive right in. You know, in my experience in the mortgage industry, what I've found is that a 15-year mortgage can save you money, a lot of money. And when I say a lot of money, you know, rather than, you know, dig through the data that I provided, maybe, you know, later when you have time to look at some of the numbers that are highlighted. This is just an example from a $250,000 mortgage, and I used fairly conservative numbers, and in this example, the person saves $110,000 over the life of the loan in interest. And so, you know, you start talking about different life decisions that you can make where you save chunks of change like $100,000. You make 4 or 5 of those decisions that affect your finances, $100,000 worth, that can really set you up for retirement. So, you know, there's positives and negatives to anything. And I think in this case, you might say, well, what are the drawbacks to a 15-year mortgage? Obviously, when you're paying the thing off in half the time, it's a larger payment. And one of the misnomers or misinformation out there is 30 years and 15 years. If I'm paying it off in 15 years, it's going to be double the payment. Well, it's definitely not the case. One of the reasons being the interest rate on a 15-year loan is lower. It's less risk to the bank because you're paying it off faster, so they give you a lower interest rate. And also, when you think about your total mortgage payment, 99% of people escrow in their taxes and hazard insurance. And so if you've got a principal interest payment of $1,700 and you add on the $300 that's hazard insurance and property taxes, it's $2,000 total. Surprisingly, if you're going to pay the thing off in half the time and get a 15-year mortgage, it's going to be about $500, you know, in a scenario like this one we have here, more. So it's going to go from $2,000 to $2,500. You know, so it's 25% increase, not double like some people might think. So, you know, when I was thinking about this, I tried to be unbiased and think to myself, you know, what are the drawbacks? And so I think definitely you don't want to be in a position where it's such a stretch that you're getting yourself into credit card debt. You're not able to, you know, live life at all, and you're just living off rice and beans every day. So, you know, in those scenarios, it's definitely something that you know, you don't want to squeeze everything out of your lifestyle so that you can do a 15-year mortgage because you're going to save all the interest in the long run. But just through practice and through working with different clients in different scenarios, I found a few scenarios where it really makes a lot of sense, and this really is a great product for people. One of the examples is I come across people that have been in their mortgage for 8 or 9 years, and they have a decent mortgage of 4.5 or 4.75, but they've started at $300,000. Through the first 9 years of this loan, if you've ever seen how a amortization schedule works for a 30-year loan, not a lot is getting paid towards the principal up front. So maybe in the first 10 years they pay off $65,000 of it. So they owe $235,000, and their payment, which is based on the 30-year amortization, when it started at $300,000, I'll pick a number, $1,700 a month. If they refinance it into a 15-year, not only are they shaving the 5 years off of their loan, but when their interest rate goes from 4.75 down to 3, the payments are almost exactly the same. And so, you know, there's scenarios like that where I talk to somebody and it makes all the sense in the world to just refinance your loan and have that thing paid off 5 years earlier. And another point I should touch on that, you know, is one of the things I get from folks is their misunderstanding about how the mortgage interest tax write-off works. And I've heard this so often that, you know, I've had to rebut it, and I've gotten good at rebutting, you know, I need the tax write-off. And so you can write off the interest you pay on your mortgage on your taxes. But depending on what tax bracket you're in, if you have $10,000 in mortgage interest and you're in a 25% tax bracket, you're saving $2,500, but you're paying $10,000 to the bank. So somebody who tells me, I need a tax write-off. Well, if you think that quarters are more shiny than dollars, every time you get a dollar, give it to me and I'll give you back a quarter. Because that's essentially what you're doing in that trade-off, is saying, I want to send the bank $10,000 so that I can not send the IRS $2,500. And so, you know, this is something that you know, really fascinates me because of the numbers aspect of it, and how, you know, folks in different aspects of life, it may or may not make sense, but the idea of having a paid off mortgage is really foreign to a lot of people, and I guess it's kind of bred into our culture that you always have to carry a mortgage. As a mortgage professional, I sell mortgages, so this is kind of against what I do, but you know, from a personal standpoint, I see people and I want to see them win. And one of the ways that you can win is by not having debt. So, you know, you can go back and look at this. If you're a numbers nerd like me, you'll get your kicks like I do off seeing that, you know, on a 15-year mortgage, from the very start, 2/3 of that principal and interest payment is going towards principal, whereas on the 30-year, when you start off and you're paying $11.76 a month in principal and interest, you know, 1/3 of that is going towards principal. And, you know, the bottom chart also gives a pretty good example of how, you know, years 1 through 15, it's pretty steep in terms of, you know, the thing getting paid down to zero, whereas on a 30-year, you know, a lot of the monies in the first 10 to 15 years are going towards interest. So I'll just end with a quote I got from a gal on Get Rich Slowly, which she said, as with most areas of personal finance, this decision is more than just the math. There are other important considerations, such as retirement savings, risk tolerance, and discipline. So with that being said, you know, it's not just, this is going to save you a lot of money, you have to do it. Your whole financial picture and kind of your personal situation is plays into this as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.